Hello and welcome. My name is Tom.
And I'm Heather.
And you're sitting at the Couples Table.
Couples Table is a weekly live stream show here on this YouTube channel. Join us for better or worse.
For richer or poor.
In sickness and in health.
As long as we both shall live.
Woo! Happy Saturday, everybody.
Yay. All right. We did all that. We did that pretty well. So we transitioned from the countdown to the stream. It's pretty cool. For those of you watching, we have a dog cam set up today. So it's currently showing Ben because Finley didn't want to be
Finley
right there.
Finley is behind the chair.
Yeah. So there we are. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining us this Saturday. Tusif, it's nice to see you here.
Hello, everybody.
And Matthias, nice to see you here. I'm glad you can join us again. I know it's evening over there, so good evening. And hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm tired. I woke up from a crazy nap.
Hi, tired. I'm Tom. Well, today,
what are we talking about, Tom?
I think it ties in. So while you took your nap, I recorded this week's episode of my podcast.
Yes.
Took some time to just do that. And it was one of those things where I had spent all week trying to figure out what the heck am I going to talk about? And I had no ideas. And then suddenly everything just...
So what'd you talk about?
So what I talked about was the importance of when you're doing something creative, trusting your own creative instinct and gut and not looking to others. So I explained, I'm planning to do a review on the M1 Mac Mini. And my impulse was to look at other people's computer reviews to see how you do a computer review, because I don't really do them. And then I thought, no, don't do that. just do it however you're going to do it. And that also applies to, oh my gosh, it's been like a completely crazy week for a lot of reasons. But as we talked about last time, Heather's helping me put together my first course, which is all about audio podcast production. And there's so much more to putting together a course than just like recording instructional stuff. That's like such a small part of it, it turns out. And so Heather's like broken it down and she's been guiding me, but there's like all of the best practices for what you should do. There's the way I would do it instinctively. And then there's the way that's like a blend of the two, which is probably going to be the most effective for me personally. So we've been trying to navigate like, yes, do this. No, we don't need to worry about that. Yes, do this. And sort of cherry picking, like just the idea, like in my podcast, I started it by explaining our wedding and when we planned it, and you had the thing of like pretend that you're an alien and you just know a wedding is when two people commit themselves to each other for the rest of their lives and there's a ceremony around that. How would you do that versus like this is how it's supposed to be? And that's been a really helpful technique. So anyway, that's like the context of the stuff we've been thinking about, stuff been working on, and everything.
I have a counterpoint.
Cool. The couples counter.
I feel like there is something to be said about knowing what the rules are before you break them.
Yes, I agree.
That's all. So I think that we had been to several weddings. We had been in several weddings. So for us to be like, okay, we know what we don't want, and then here's how we're going to do it. And I feel like, especially when it comes to something that is something that feels very related to what you are a professional in, but also the thing that you absolutely dread, which is selling something. I think it's important to know what the rules are, and like, it's not even best practices, but it's just like, this is how people are seeing success, and you could obviously choose whether to do them that way or not. But I think it's important to know what those are.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean...
Counterpoint.
Sure. Yeah, of course that is. Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to... Because for me, there's so much about the course world that I instinctively don't like, but I'm trying to go, okay, this is how it's been established for decades at this point. There's probably a reason for that. And as much as I do like doing my own thing, what is always frustrating is when you go, okay, I'm going to do things my way. And then you just end up like, here's an example.
Okay.
10 years ago, I got like my first road bike. And I was like, okay, I'm going to ride a bike.
Not a road bike.
Not a road bike, but a road bike, a bicycle. And I was like, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to wear the tight bike jersey. I'm not going to wear the tight shorts. No. I'm just going to be normal. And then over the next like 6 months of cycling, things happen. I was like, gosh, this cotton shirt is really uncomfortable and it flaps in the wind and it gets sweaty. So, okay, fine. Maybe I'll wear a jersey because it's much more comfortable. It like wicks away perspiration. It has pockets to store everything. Oh, okay. It makes sense. And then, wow, these shorts sure aren't comfortable. These shoes sure aren't comfortable. And after 6 months, I had the full-on bike kit, which was nice because at least I understood why. It wasn't just going into the bike shop and them telling me you need to spend hundreds of dollars on all this stuff. But I was kind of like, gosh, like I should have, it was frustrating to go, I was going to do this my way, but then just discover like actually the way that it's done does exist for a reason, and it is effective, and it is sort of like the way you want to do it for your own safety and your own sanity. And so it's tough to navigate that, where like you're doing something and you're like, okay, I want to do this my way because my way is the way to do it. But there are existing things. So kind of like you said, when do you know when it's okay to deviate? And when do you know when maybe you should just trust that the existing thing is there because it's the existing thing. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yes.
All right. Ron's here.
Ron.
Let's see here. I'm going to catch up with the comments a little bit. 2C said, good point. Knowing about drugs to make you understand why not to do them. Otherwise, you'll always be curious to do them. Ron said, I think a lot of people review computers by talking numbers and stats. I think the use should be like, yes. And that's exactly it. That's the whole reason I even want to make it. I don't want to make a computer review video because I'm not a computer channel, but I got this computer. It changed my entire workflow. And that's a big deal to me. And I think a lot of people who watch my videos have a similar workflow and they do the same stuff and they use the same applications. And they might have the same question of like, wow, when I open this program, my current computer sounds like it's going to go into orbit. Or it lags or whatever. Would one of those new computers fix it? And for me, the fact that this is the cheapest computer I've ever bought and the most powerful is like mind blowing. And so that's why I want to share that. Here's a Geekbench score that shows blah, blah, like it doesn't really mean anything. But when I can say like I can run Zoom and Photoshop and Final Cut and Ecamm without even making a fan noise or stuttering, that's a really big deal. So that's the kind of stuff that I want to point out. But yeah, it's like, how would I do it? Also, hello. Sorry. I thought I was in a KF. Homesick Mac. We just saw your setup this morning on the Twitter. Working on your own course for slide guitar. But since that's quite straightforward, my bigger problem is which platform to use. There are a gazillion vendors out there. Do you have any thoughts on course platforms?
I mean, not really. They all kind of do the same thing. Like if you've heard of it, they all have the same basic functions. There's they all have their own like sales page that you can create. The biggest reason why I picked Teachable and Podia, I used Teachable for 2 years and then now we're using Podia. My biggest reason for picking those two platforms are because there wasn't a built-in marketplace within the platform. So if you pick something like Udemy or Skillshare, like they have a marketplace. So you can go to udemy.com and type in like video editing 101 or something, and it's gonna populate all the courses by people who have courses about video editing. But I wanted to be able to, which is the hard part, market my own course to my audience and in my way. So I went with Teachable and now Podia. I think that's a very huge difference. But other than that, I would think if you've heard of it, like Thinkific, all these other ones, they have a really nice interface for both you as a course creator and the customer. There's just little differences. But the biggest difference, I think, when you're picking a platform is whether you want to participate in the marketplace or not.
Yeah, and I learned, because my first thought was like, well, couldn't you just put a course on your website? Couldn't you just get like I don't know, like I'm sure Squarespace has an add-on where it's like shop and then you just add stuff and people can pay for it. But I did at least learn, which I'm sure you know, but if someone else is listening and they don't know, the course platforms, because you don't want to just host your course on YouTube because then it's, open to everyone. So it needs to be sort of on like a proprietary thing. And the course platforms, they let you break it down into like units, the curriculum, like people can log in and do these videos in this unit, that video. So it's like, it lets you structure it, lets people log in, keep track of their stuff. And it keeps it private for the people who paid for the course versus not. We have a super chat. We never get
Doc
super
Rock,
chats.
what's up?
I don't mean we never. I was just like, this is
Yo, TB,
cool.
Don't buck the system. I felt the same way about courses. My LGL family basically begged me to create my course. You're good. Trust. Okay, you know who really needs to hear this message right now, Doc? This one.
I need to go to the doctor. I'm curious, though, how do you feel now? How's your course? Like, how do you feel now that you're on the other side of it?
Yeah, now that you created the course.
What I'll fully also admit is that my stress level currently is through the roof. And part of me wants to just say like, oh, you don't need to do those course things just so I don't have to do it.
What?
Like, because it'd be like, oh, you don't have to build this thing and put this together. Cool. Now it's just one less thing that I have to do. So that I know is just laziness and not a best practice. But yeah. Are we turning on? Was there an overlay?
No, if you remove the comment from here, it shows up as an overlay on here for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Like, see this?
Yeah, that's okay though, because I would just get rid of it at the end. I had overlays from classes that were popping up earlier, and it was like the definition for what middle class income is, and I was like, that doesn't need to be on the screen.
No, I didn't put that up. So yeah.
So that is kind of what I've been working through. But what have you been, what is this? I figured, we could kind of give updates on what we're each working on, how we're each approaching it, and then touch base with everybody here, and then all come together and just talk about ska for 40 minutes.
I was supposed to try to make an Instagram reel for the first time today, and then I fell asleep. So at some point this weekend, I need to try to make an Instagram reel. I'm very curious about short form tutorial type content, but I'm so intimidated because I've never made a TikTok before. I've never made a vertical short video before. So I am kind of in the same boat where I'm like, okay, how is this supposed to look? Like, I want it. I know which shorts captivate me and which reels captivate me. And so I'm thinking like I need to make it like that. But I mean, I don't know. I just need to make one and get it over with. So sometime this weekend I will try.
Yeah. That is the thing that I feel like I've been struggling with more lately is this is how these kinds of things are supposed to look. So what do I need? Whereas like I know that's not the case. I know, again, knowing the rules, but also just knowing, if I've gotten this far doing things my way, I should just continue to do that. But you just kind of, I don't know, it's just sort of a thing. I think we talked about this a while ago, but like as my YouTube channel has grown, I look at other people who I've been following who have channels the similar size, and I just think like, gosh, they're so much better at this, or they're doing this so much more. They're like, they've leveled up this over here. Like I really need to do better at that. And instead of thinking like, no, it's not that there's not room for improvement, but like, it's okay. Like you can just do things. Like I don't know. I'm having a really hard time with like navigating that stuff lately, personally. So. Well,
you're going through a big transition.
Bob's here. Congratulations on 500. I feel like I just checked your channel like last week and you were like 3 something, and then you posted 500 a day. So I know it's not about numbers, but you even admitted in your posts that you care about numbers.
The YouTube Chronicles.
Yeah.
I love reading them. They're great.
So I'm sure you'll hit I would not be surprised if you hit 1,000 before the end of March.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, you're just nailing it.
Yeah.
Dominic said the Scotcast returns. And Dominic, I just want to say also congrats. I know you and Heather have been talking about congrats on like pushing through this whole month-long upload challenge. You've been doing an amazing job. Steve said he's been struggling with laziness a lot.
I hear Doc.
Doc, I feel better. They felt they were not paying me enough for the value I gave. It was making them feel bad. And see, that's what's interesting, and that's what Heather's helped me realize too, is she, suggested I put together a wait list for people who are interested. And so you can go to himynamestom.com and click the button to sign up for the wait list.
Because it's a button now.
There's my shameless self-plug. But then it's like you have people who've already opted in and gone like, yeah, we're totally up for, at least hearing about what this course is, versus just like, I don't want to just sell to everybody who finds my YouTube channel or whatever. But there are people out there who are like, no, I'm happy to pay because I want to support you because I appreciate what you do. And I do the same thing to other people. Like, I'm part of people's Patreons. I super chat people just because I'm like, gosh, I've learned so much from your videos that I hear. Like,
yeah, and you're not the bargain bin, so
right, I know.
To see if I want to make rules, but InstaReel isn't available here. That's crazy. Patrick, what do you see as a value of reels? I used to make them, but got the job I always wanted and haven't made a reel in 7 years. So I mean reel as in Instagram reels.
Right. I had the same question.
Not like a
demo reel.
Yeah, not a demo reel. A reel is a 15 to 30 second video on Instagram. It's a feature. It's kind of like Instagram stories. But it's a video that you can post to your feed that is a vertical video and just like short form content, kind of like YouTube Shorts, if you know what that is. And I don't know. I'm fascinated by the fact that I'm so intimidated at making a 15 to 30 second video, but I can make YouTube videos all day.
I'm curious about that too, because you have been on Instagram forever. You post stories every day. You're super good at it. You have a ton of fun with it, and it's interesting.
It's just, I think because like there's such a movement behind vertical video like TikTok, and I like refused for whatever reason to jump on board, and now I'm like I'm not going to do TikTok, but I see the effectiveness of the short form and I want to try it. But these people have been practicing on TikTok. So I'm like, how do I mean, we just like,
You just point to all the text that pops up on screen.
Let's see. We encourage each other here at Couples Table Community. That's our thing, and I love it. Yeah, Doc. When we're in the bathroom, please talk free. Love Ska.
Yeah, Instagram.
Yeah, so it's not. It's more of like. It's just the way that I see these things are. It's a different medium. So there's a bunch of different ways that we can communicate a message, and I really do see the effectiveness of the short form vertical, like in a way that it's making me want to try it, because it's working on me. I know if it's working on me, then that's all the proof of concept that I need, because it's just like me watching a Casey vlog and I'm like, gosh, I really want to do that.
Right.
Let's see. Coffee Talk and Tech. I love that. Coffee Talk and Tech.
CTT.
I think your likability is not common and draws people in.
Thank you. At first I read that it's like you're not always likable.
Of course you did.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that a lot.
What up, Sean in the house? Punk Chef 41. Hey guys, hope everyone is good.
Hello.
Punk Chef. That's like a cool
I know, I like it.
Screen name. Let's see. Oh, cool. I like what's happening here.
Oh, Tusif says Bob just inspired him to work on his channel.
Yes.
That's right. Because seeing Bob, I mean, I know there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, but like when you and I first started talking and connecting, and like I was on Creators Campfire and you were on my podcast, and you were like, so I remember specifically, you're like, I have one YouTube video on my channel that's not a podcast interview, and I don't know where to go.
I remember that.
And seeing you just crush it now, and and it's not just that the content is good, but like the production quality is really good. Everything looks good, sounds good. It's
so much fun to watch.
It's real good. Mm-hmm. Real. Speaking.
Look at this. I don't really watch stories apart from Heather on Insta. Yay!
I always forget about them, but stories are like really fun, and so Heather reminds me like stories. You should post them, and you can watch other people's. I'm like, oh yeah, it's actually like really cool to see. It feels like such an easy way. I guess you could be people are very strategic, but for a lot of people, it is kind of just like, oh look, like here's little glimpses of fun things that don't have to be super thought out.
I actually got used to talking to a camera by doing some IG posts back at the start last year.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Very important question. How long did it take to get that cover photo?
I don't know if you saw the thumbnail that I used for today's stream. It was one where we were on the couch in your room and Ben is like sitting next to us staring up. I think that was we were taking photos and Ben just walked up.
We were taking many photos.
Speaking of dogs, there's the dog cam. Not sponsored by GoPro, but there's a giant GoPro sticker in the front of it. He's passed out.
Let's see. Yay.
Well, that's an
Well,
honor.
I mean, that's what's cool. Is we all are helping each other, supporting each other.
Yeah. That's the good creative influence.
Yeah. Creative influence.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well,
Yep.
So one of the things that I talked about in my podcast episode, because it was like thinking of like the creative influence, is I was trying to navigate that line between being inspired by someone, like watching a Casey vlog and going like, he made it so accessible. He made it seem like you didn't have to be perfect. You could just make the thing and it'd be really good, versus feeling like, oh, if I want to make this, it has to be done this way. And like trying to sort of navigate between that.
I know, but I think, so me being on the other side of it, when it comes to the course.
Oh, I was just talking about in general, but if we want to talk about course, that would be helpful to me.
Because I think that there's something, like, you still have so much freedom. No one's telling you what to put in, what content to put, how to teach it.
Yeah, the course itself is whatever.
But even the webinar, even what you put on the registration page, even what you put on the sales page or the emails, like, you can totally write that however you want.
I think the part that's scary is doing the more traditional, like having a sales page where people go to it and like which is what you need to have. Like, I know, I've seen you do it. I understand the
It's
why.
just a storefront. It's just,
I know, but
it's
I'm
just like the brick and mortar store.
It's me being in my own way about it, and I recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, because how else are you going to sell?
But I mean, there's...
How would you do it, Tom?
Well, I mean, it goes to, like, look at the pages where people can book consultations from you and me. Mine literally just says book a call, and there's a calendar, and then you click the thing you want. And yours is like beautiful and points out the benefit, and you have testimonials.
Who's made more sales?
But I don't. But again, my consultation exists because, like Doc Rock said, people were like, "Yo, let me pay you for a consultation." I had no way of doing that.
Wait, did you answer that in your head?
What?
Who made more sales?
Who made more sales with consultations?
Yeah.
But no, it was because we started it different. Like, because you were like, okay, I'm doing this and I want to offer consultations. Whereas mine was like, I'm doing consultations.
You're answering this based off of an answer in your head.
No, I'm saying it's not a fair question because the sales pages exist for different reasons. Whereas like yours is existing to pull people in and make sales. Whereas mine exists because like literally like people had no way of doing the thing they needed to do, and I was the one that was late to the game in that thing. So I know that that's probably not a good example because it didn't have to be, if there's already people there, it didn't have to be like a great storefront for people to see because they just needed to book the thing. Whereas if the people weren't there already, then you need to make the storefront so people see it. It's like putting a nice product, on the back of a dingy shelf and like a store no one's going to go in.
The way that I see it is more of like, so you didn't have the method, right? Like people could not book with you, so you had to just put that there.
I had to figure that out, yeah.
Yeah, but also if you had a sales page that was just, I don't know, more. Let's just say more.
More, yeah.
Your conversion rate might be higher.
Yeah, I know, and the only way to know would be to do that.
That's kind of a big thing to think about.
Which I guess for now, personally, that doesn't...
You won't. I mean, you can check that by how many visits you get to the page and then how many signups you actually get.
Well, I think for now it almost doesn't matter because the hours are so limited that it doesn't need to convert more. But in the future, if that becomes something where it's like, I'd really like to book more, then it would be something where it's like, okay, I open more hours, nobody's booking them. How do I get people to book more hours? My ultimate point was that yours is better, but you asked how I would do it, and I was like, well, that's how I would do it, is literally like the lamest way ever.
Hey, Jessica, stories are so fun, so customizable, gotten into highlights too, so they last longer. You guys ever drink lassi? It's like water, sugar, yogurt blend with a blender. That used to be my favorite. Like, it was an obsession. It's so good. Mango flavored lassi. Yum.
There you go.
Let's see. I forgot to tell you, I work at eChem now. I saw it, man.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Where's the air horn?
Also, I bought your merch. I'm waiting for it in the mail.
Yeah, she was so excited about it. She told me. Heather has been having trouble sleeping this week, and then every day, like 3 new Amazon packages arrive.
I know, it's such a problem.
Because when she can't sleep, she shops.
Once you know the rules, you can adapt it to how it helps you.
True.
Let's see.
Which is so stupid because that's also what I tell my students all the time. Like, this is 3-point lighting. You don't always need to use it, but it's important to understand the why so that you can break the rules. And then I'm over here like...
It's important to be what got you to where you are with the open mind to try different things. Yeah, that's a perfect way to say it. Yeah. Let's see. Consulting question. At what point did you guys feel comfortable qualified enough to start consulting?
That's a great question.
I think if people are asking you, I mean, because I just had people saying like, can I pick your brain?
Yeah.
And it was, I think for me, because I started a couple years ago, I was getting annoyed by the pick your brain, buy you a coffee. So if anyone wanted to be like, hey, I've YouTube questions, I'm like, oh, okay, great. You can book time here, and then you have to pay for the time. Figuring out how much to charge was a whole different battle that I had to kind of work through. But I think you'd be surprised at, like, Bob, you should totally have a page.
Even if it's just a couple hours a month or something, just so people can book it. Because when I first met Heather, and this whole world was new to me, and people would say, like, they'd ask her, like, I want to pick your brain. To me, that sounded, like, really fun. I was like, oh, sit down with someone and talk about, like, YouTube or something. That sounds great. Like, that's what you do at VidCon or VidSummit or something. But then quickly you learn that oftentimes that can be a one-way transaction because you're sitting there and the person is now taking an hour and a half, and they're just
Like
asking.
so
Like you're
many
not
copies.
necessarily. This sounds bad, but you're not necessarily getting anything out of it. You're not learning more. You're not,
And then what I found was that a lot of people that just were, hey, can we grab a cup of coffee for an hour? None of them started YouTube channels, whereas the people who actually book time are still working on their channels to this day. So there's definitely a difference between like someone who's invested, like someone who wants to invest in actually taking action.
Yeah,
So.
and that's what I found too, because mine was the same as Heather's, where people were asking. First, my email was turning into tech support, where people were asking like, I'm trying to set up a stream and I need this, and it's like I can't answer this because like I'd have to literally make a whole video to answer this question or to type something out for a half hour, and like I don't have time to do that. And then finally, people were saying like, can I I'll pay you for time? Can I book time? And that's when Heather was like, if people are offering you time, like you should have some way to do it. And I said, okay. And then the rate that I charged was just, I had to figure out what seemed fair based on the, like what other people are doing, what it makes sense, but also what, based on my experience / knowledge, and then based on what is worth my time. Because if I'm doing a consultation, that means I'm taking time away from my personal time, which is either something I could be working on a creative project or even just resting and hanging out with Heather and the dogs and stuff. So what would be that amount of money, which was going to be higher than, so I started with $200 an hour, which is higher than, I've paid $200 an hour for consultations before. Yeah. And I was like totally happy with that.
And you didn't think,
and what I found though is because there are some people who I'll never hear from again. They're like, do you book things? I'm like, yeah, here's the link. And then they disappear. And then there's other people who say it's too high. And I'm like, yeah, sorry.
Say bye.
But the people who have booked, 100% of them have
100% satisfaction.
Well, I was going to say from my end, they've been amazing people to work with because they've already committed $200 for an hour to talk about an idea or to just solve a problem. Like that's somebody who's approaching it from like, I am in it. Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm serious about it. And it's like a self-selecting group of people that are then really fun to work with. So you're not the bargain bin.
Doc, I became a consultant after I got sick of asshole. Spend your time answering their questions and don't use your advice and complain. Yeah. 100%.
And it can be rewarding to help people, for sure. But at a certain point, it does become like you're troubleshooting and solving problems for other people. And other than helping you get better at doing that, you don't really get a lot out of it. You're not learning. Your channel's not getting better. Like it is just taking your time.
I've thought that in the future, I would love to add it onto my guide as an option, but I super don't feel qualified right now. Some people ask me, but not loads.
You're 100% qualified right now.
So here you go. You're totally qualified. And some people ask you is enough. I think that's, because that means that there are people who just don't think to ask. But if you were to offer it, if you were to say, hey, here's an option for you if you want to take the next step, like you never know.
And it gives you when those people do show up, they're like, hey, can we hop on a call for an hour? And you're like,
sure. Here's my link.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a time you can book.
Yeah. I'm a few months behind the learning curve. I run the same setup, Rodecaster Pro and A10 Mini, and when you even mention anything about this stuff, the average person has no idea.
Right. I know. In our little world, it's like you put RCP in Heather's like Rodecaster Pro.
I did not know what those 3 letters meant.
Even and the average person I got my RCP over here. They'd be like an RC car, RC Cola.
James and Mark, I wish we could hang out.
And happy anniversary.
Yay.
Late anniversary.
Doc, my dad says you respect the knowledge more when you pay for it. Yes.
Yeah, you got skin in the game for sure.
Let's see. That's super helpful. Thanks, guys. I'll just see how it goes. Try not worry about imposter syndrome. Easier said than done.
Definitely easier said than done. And you're not, it's not your full-time income. It's just a thing on the side. Open up an hour a week or something. And
yeah, it's just an option for the people who want to take the next step.
Yeah, and you can do it on your time, because that's what's happened to me too. Ours, I don't know if this happened to you, but mine's all on Pacific time, and sometimes people will be like, "Oh, I'd love to book a time, but you're only available slots like 1 a.m. here," and I try to bend the thing, and I'm like, I picked those times for a reason because those are the times that work for me, so that's the time, and I wish I could help more, be more flexible, but you can set the time, you can just be your boss.
Are you getting a reading?
Oh boy.
I hope you remember it this time. We need an update. So the last time I met up with James and Mark in person was, I believe, in October. Mm-hmm. And we were in Palm Springs, which is like 25 minutes away from where we live. And we all got tarot card readings, but we were all super drunk. So I remember mine, though.
I wasn't there, so I wasn't part
Mine was
of
like
this.
super good. She was like, it was, because I'm always thinking about my business. And she was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be a breakout year for you. Like, you've been, building this thing and it's going to really pay off and all that. And I just walked out of there totally amped. And then James went in and he just showed me a picture of the tarot cards and then I was like, how'd it go? He's like, I don't remember. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, they are getting a reading as a couple.
Oh, that's cute.
You'll have to update us.
Okay. I second what Doc said. It's like commissions. I charge now for basic graphic design quick jobs. Since there's still time, I am taking to finish one image.
Yeah, and don't forget to, what I've noticed, I speak like I'm an expert, but what I've noticed is when you get good at something, graphic design, YouTube coaching, whatever, you can do things really quickly. Like Jessica, you can probably pull a quick design, but it might take someone else a really long time to do, but you know how to just like pop, 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 pop. Like yesterday, Heather was setting up her eCam scene. She did it in 4 minutes or something, you said, because you got a new computer and had to set stuff up. But me, like not having set up an eCam scene, I'm like what? So just because it's easy for you and it's not going to take a ton of time for you doesn't mean that it's still not worth something, because you had to put in the time to build that skill and build that expertise, and that's what the person is paying for.
Yeah. To Steve, Heather, your BFF is traveling all over the world, make us all wonder. So she's in Hawaii, and that's where she's been. She went to Hawaii and just hasn't come back because she was supposed to come back for Christmas to spend Christmas with her family, but because of COVID, it was like, why go back? So she's just living the best life.
You guys went to the tarot card readings together, and then she left and went to Hawaii and has been in Hawaii ever since. And
it's crazy because she like her home base where she actually lives is New York. Like that's where her job is. But she's in advertising, so she could work. She just needs an internet connection and a laptop. Closed. Yeah. So believe it or not, if you follow her stories, she does work like whole days. Like she was up at 4 a.m. because she needs to.
She's on East Coast time.
She's on East Coast time, yeah. But then she'll go straight to
the beach and snorkeling and sitting on the hood of a car.
Let's see. My wife does readings for people anywhere in the world. Oh, that's so crazy.
I think you mentioned that a couple weeks ago. I remember.
Oh
that's awesome.
We should totally do a reading.
We should. That would be amazing.
Really?
If it's good, yes.
They are paying for 10 years of learning and not for 5 minutes of work. Yeah.
It's the 10 years that gives you the ability to do it in 5 minutes or half hour, whatever.
So to see if that's where Doc Rock is from. Like he lives there in Hawaii. That's just your backyard.
Doesn't even make sense to me.
I'm no expert. I'm having many musicians asking me to help them build a stream setup. I feel weird about the money thing, but people will pay to get the help.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. That's very similar how I feel. Mm-hmm. And Dominic said 4 a.m. is too early for life. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Alarm clocks.
So, okay. Well, why don't we go into what's coming up for you?
What's coming up?
We have some big, news.
We do.
March 1st?
March 1st, the webinar?
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal. So, you can go to himynameistom.com.
Okay, so
click the button.
So, you guys know he's building a course about podcasting. And he's going to teach a webinar as kind of like the intro to the course. So the webinar is totally free, and he's doing it on March 1st. We haven't decided on a time, but we'll start promoting it next week. Yeah, so if you're on that email list, I've not yet sent out an email to anybody, but you'll get one this week that gives the time and the info and the registration link. And it'll be cool because the webinar is not going to be what the course is. The course is all about audio podcast production, but the webinar will be kind of more about like getting your podcast off the ground. We will talk more about ideation and actually come at the concept. The course isn't going to cover ideation at all. It's for people who already have their idea.
but it could be a fun thing, and I'm actually excited to do it because it's like, up to 90 minutes long. You can really dive into a topic. I love YouTube, but you don't have to worry about the YouTube, like, oh my gosh, I took a breath and that's 3 seconds of silence. I got to edit that out. Like, you can things can breathe a little bit.
I mean, you could do what you do.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be good. I can just teach people who want to be there live. And then the cool thing, because I've spent the last week sort of learning about the value of webinars. I mean, I've been to them, I've watched them, but the cool thing that I'm excited about is to have that when it's done and like have it, and I can put it places, and it'll be really exciting. And it'll be cool too, because since the course is still in progress, like the actual course, it'll be a good chance to like kind of get input feedback. So I would be very appreciative of any of that kind of input that could come.
Yeah, so if you guys
way.
want to, well, do we know what time you're going to do it?
We don't know the exact time. It's going to be on March 1st.
Yeah, so March 1st.
In the afternoon.
A week from Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. But yeah, if you go to himynameistom.com, you can click the link, and then I'll send out an email this week that has all that info about it.
Cool.
Yes. So that's exciting.
That's very exciting.
I know. I haven't sent any emails out to that list, and I'm like, now I'm kind of excited, but then I'm nervous.
But my gosh. I remember I used to be so scared. Like, I mean, I still am, but it's also like so exciting when you push send. It's like, whoa. There it goes.
Did I tell you about Peter Lindgren? I mean,
what about him?
No. So he told me a while ago, we were talking, and he was like, yeah, I had like a website or whatever. He didn't realize that his website had been collecting emails to build a list. And he's like, yeah, it turns out I'm mailing it has like 4,000 people.
Oh my
God.
God.
It was by accident.
That's so crazy.
Which is just funny, because like if you've ever started an email list, like getting people on it is a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you guys telling me that it's helpful to know that it's okay to like send the email, and so I know I'm not going to be salesy.
What are you struggling with right now?
Oh, so much. I'm struggling with stress, as per usual. But
what are you stressed out about, Tom?
I'm stressed out about work.
Like, which one?
Well, okay. Yeah. So YouTube work, the stress just comes from time, like, or lack thereof. And of course, yes, there is time to do things, but then like it's just a 24/7 situation. And then day job stress because teaching right now sucks.
The professional teacher is apprehensive about teaching a course. See, people, the Buckman is human after all.
But I've only ever taught public education. They have to be there, for free. So
that's harder, though.
I know. That's why
like 1,000 times harder.
I mean, I've taught sessions at conferences and stuff to like adults, which have always gone really well. But
really well, you've always had a line at the door. For
oh my gosh, it's so scary with the adult. But I think what's good is I get so apprehensive over like I have to make this worth your time, because like adults are busy and blah blah blah, and then I feel like that actually helps it. I hate feeling nervous that way, but I think it
have
does make the
29 people
better.
Here.
I can't even look at those numbers, because when we're done with streams, I was like, we had this many people. I'm like, I never even glanced, because I will get nervous.
Well, this is a big reason why he's doing the webinars. I think you need to get into the
what it is. So here's kind of how it you can look at it is. You pointed out earlier, selling stuff is my weakness.
I didn't say it's your weakness.
Well, it's something I'm not experienced. It is. I'm comfortable saying it's a weakness.
It's just, I think it's more of like something you're not comfortable doing.
Yeah, it's a lack of experience.
I wouldn't say it's your weakness, because you know who's going to be a sales rock star? Because everything Tom does is amazing.
That's right. And if you want to know how to make amazing stuff, go to himynameistom.com and click the button to sign up for that wait list for the webinar on March 1st. Sorry. There it is. So, no, what I was going to say is...
What were you going to go say?
We've talked about my apprehension of monetizing my channel, my apprehension of... making money off of creative endeavors, but also, dipping my toes into it and making it work and it being okay. Mm-hmm. And just wanting to find my own way of doing it. And that's kind of what's happening here is like, okay, like I've never done an email list. I've never done a webinar. I've never sold a course. And part of me is very scared about like people going like, oh, that guy now he's just selling like his stupid online courses. He's just one of those guys.
I know, no one's gonna freaking think that. Like,
okay, but in my brain,
you guys, are you kidding me?
That's why I just need to go through the process and go like, oh, look, I could do it my way. And
oh my gosh, Tom is like this. It's the same feelings that you had with your YouTube channel. Could you believe this guy didn't have a YouTube channel? Like, I remember meeting it, and he was just like, I don't know, I'm scared. 55,000 subscribers later, are you kidding? It's just, I just look at him because everything he does is so good.
Well, if you look at this here, David is sold.
Sell your stuff.
And Coffee Talk and Tech, the adults aren't smarter than the school kids. It's it's tricky, but I
mean, I like your humility. I think people appreciate your humility. I think that's what makes you you. So, I mean, that's fine.
Did I tell you? I think I told you this, but I don't know if I told you guys this. There's an education conference I used to present at every year for like 8 years. It's up in Sacramento. It's for career tech teachers.
Yes, there's a bunch of teachers.
Thousands of people there. And we used to do presentations there at, I've worked at 2 schools and I've done sessions at both. And it's been really fun because the times I've gone at my current school where I am like in charge fully of the program, the session can be like whatever I want and I'm fully in charge and it's super cool. Anyway, it's been very fun. There was one year though where I was at my old school and the like admin team from my current district and school were like, oh, if you're going to present, they were trying to like lure me over to a new job. And they're like, we're going to come watch you present. And I was like, okay, like I want this to go well. And I was doing 2 presentations back to back. And so the first one was all about branding, like a creative program. We gave that presentation. The room was literally a fire hazard. Like they had to push people out because standing, like people couldn't, it was completely packed. And I saw like one of the admin people walk by in the back and kind of like glance in. And I was like, oh, this is good. This looks great, right? You're trying to impress your new boss. And that was our session that we were in charge of. The next session was one another teacher was in charge of. And it was supposed to be like a panel. Anyway, there were more people on the panel than in the audience.
Oh, man.
And the person who was leading it was so like insistent on the panel thing, like everyone in chairs up on the stage with like microphones, and literally there's like 7 people on the stage and like 5 people in the audience, including the 2 people from like the new team or whatever. And I was like, this is like humiliating. And at one point I had to just go like, I'm sorry, can we all just sit at a table together? Because this feels like a washed up like 1970s TV show meet and greet, and like, can we just have a discussion? It ended up being okay because we just had like a round table talk, but it was just like, I was like, yeah, these new people are going to be like, they're going to see like presenting and it's going to be good. It was like they made up 50% of the audience. It was so sad. Oh.
So anyway.
And it was right after such a high, like literally going from this room to that room. I was like, wow, we did so great. Oh, this is terrible. So then I learned, just don't fly too close to the sun.
Yeah, but everything you do is great. That's why you had a fire-packed room. That's
right. Back when people could be in rooms together.
When you're a perfectionist, it can make you feel you can't move forward yet because it's not good enough. Yes, I think everyone here can relate to that. You just told me not to do that with consulting. Look, book a session. He'll fix you. There you go.
All right. And then you can book a session with me. And
Tom, you have already proved your intention. So you selling online courses now doesn't scare me. Do we need another Clubhouse intervention? Are you kidding? Like,
no, that helped. That really, really helped. And I promise you the stuff that you guys shared with me during that one Clubhouse intervention.
I even said, what was it, Thursday, I think? I was like, I think we need another Clubhouse intervention. I even said, remember what they said?
Yeah, no, it's been there. Don't worry. When is the Scott course coming?
Don't tempt him, Patrick. I love Tom's humility. I'm extra straight and I'm very extra straight. It's fun. Let's see.
Thank you.
You don't want to say she's fire.
It's true.
Let's see. She little, but she hits like Pacquiao.
I love it. So Heather's just super strong, by the way. Like, I think there's a height difference that makes it impossible, but I bet I could hang on your bicep and you could lift me.
Wow.
But you'd have to be like standing on a counter or something.
I haven't worked out since I had my bladder infection, so.
There it is.
I literally did it every day. I even stopped counting. It was like,
160,
I want to say it was like
170.
at least 150 days in a row. And then I got sick. It was so sad.
You know, it sucks, but something had to break the streak eventually, and like part of me was like, okay,
I have to get back on it, but
yeah.
so anyway, what's the takeaway, Tom?
I mean, I don't know if it's one of those things. I don't think there's a solution, but it's nice to know like it's okay to sell stuff, and you don't have to be evil just because you sell something. And I know I just need to like figure it out, run through the process, learn the rules, especially with my first course, and then I can evaluate and go like, yes, this, no,
So
that.
do you have any lines that, you know, you will not cross when it comes to this? Because so here's the thing. Let's just put this out here. I've done this. I'm in a group coaching like program to help me with my online course, and of course, like just by osmosis, I'm helping Tom with his based on everything that I'm learning and my experience and stuff like that. But there's definitely been times where Tom pumps the brakes and he's like, I feel like I'm losing control. You know, okay, if you guys watch my stories, here's an example. So, and maybe this was rude of me, maybe I shouldn't have done it this way, but Tom had a button on his website where it was like, click here to sign up for the wait list for his thing, but it didn't look like a button to me. And I've looked at hundreds, thousands of websites with the eye of like, you know, from user experience and also as a marketer, and it just did not look like a button to me. I jumped on Instagram stories and I asked everybody, you know, albeit my audience.
Yeah.
And I did preface it with like, does this look like a button to you? And by far, most people said it didn't look like a button. I think Bob did say it looked like a button though. And he was very upset with me. There was a little bit of
it definitely,
I shouldn't have put him on blast.
It definitely, I didn't like it.
But my thing is like, I would never step on your toes. I would never tell you to create it a certain way. Obviously, I respect like your approach and your creativity, and I think I am trying my best to help that part come through. But there's just stuff that's like, it doesn't look like a button, yo. Like,
but to me, it did. There's nothing else on my website. I think it's better now.
Because it looks like a button. But anyway, so are there any other lines like that I should know going forward? Because the last thing that I want to do is, you know, you hear these horror stories of like never go in business with your like, you know, partner or friends or family or whatever. And
I mean, you're more of like coaching and guiding right now. I mean, there's not like lines like that. I think like yesterday you mentioned like, oh, there's a whole strategy that involves like going to Pinterest and using Pinterest as a way to like, and you literally didn't even bring that up to me because you knew immediately I'd be like, hell no. Like,
I didn't even,
no, I'm not
you're not going to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's stuff like that. That's not like that's just like, I'm not going to dive into a platform that I literally will never use on my own. I'm not going to like now go try to learn that. So but that's not like
I feel like everything that you've done has been so organic. And I think the same.
I guess maybe that's what it is.
Like, I don't think that, I know you're doing something that you haven't done, but I really don't think that like out of nowhere people are gonna like recognize you for what you are.
Well, I think
you scammer, you like
the request for a course has been organic. Like for a long time, people go like, "Do you have a course? Do you have this?" I'd sign up for that. If I post about my school, like my day job school stuff, people think that I'm talking about a thing. Like, where do I sign up? I'm like, oh, you have to be like a high school kid. Like you can't. So that is organic. I think the part where I just get inexperienced is then turning it into like an actual thing. You know, part of that isn't organic because you have to build the thing, and it's okay. And I know that it's okay. I just
like, what is the difference?
There's a difference. It all has there's a difference to me. I don't know how to put it into words, but it's like a feeling. And I do freak out when I feel like I'm not in control of my own creative thing. Because that...
I mean, do it however you want. I don't even have to help, you know?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I appreciate the help. And I recognize that you put in so much time and energy and that you've pared it down, that you're not just going, well, here's everything in the world about doing this. But you're like, I went through everything in the world and I found the stuff that, because I know you really well and what your goal is, this is what I think will be helpful. So I recognize that and then go, okay, even though it's like out of my wheelhouse, I want to go through and jump in and figure it out, to give it the best shot. Because what I do know is stupid is to put the time and energy into making something, but then cripple it by like I said earlier, you have this great product, but you put it in a dingy shelf in a store that no one goes in, and it doesn't matter how good it is, no one's going to even find it. So you got to like do it the service of at least giving it a shot. And so like I recognize that, which is why I'm not just like, I'll just put like a link,
that's the
a
thing
button
with the
on my
button,
website.
okay? Because literally it didn't look like a button.
I know, which is why eventually because trust me, from my point of view, my website's not super slick, and that is on purpose because that's just how I made it. There's no real buttons on the thing, so like adding this thing is like, it's the only other thing besides stuff that's clearly not buttons. So to me, I was like, it's the only thing that could be a button on the website.
I know, but
button.
Yes.
My point is, while I think that's fine, and I don't think the world was going to end if I left it the other way, what I felt was like, oh, what I don't want is just like a templated thing that just looks like every other like garbage thing out there. So it's like, okay, look, there must be a way to figure out both. And it literally took 10 minutes in Squarespace and 5 minutes on the iPad and Procreate to make something that was like, here's the best of both worlds. It communicates the point. It's very clear that it's something that's meant to be clicked. And now I don't have to feel
can I tell you something?
Embarrassed, huh?
So you said that if you compare everything on your website, it looks like a button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's true. But people are not going to your website like in a vacuum. They're going to a website based on their experience of the internet. And in the grand scheme of the internet, it doesn't look like a button.
Yeah, which I know. Which is why, I mean, like, plus, trust me, if somebody
changed the button.
If somebody says something about like my design or my whatever, I immediately get overly defensive.
Oh my God, you guys!
Not because I'm the best, but because I have a specific way, and I promise you, like, doesn't mean that it's the best choice, but it is. Everything is there for a reason.
And obviously, this is why your channel's doing well. Like, and I recognize that. Okay, I recognize that. I just think it didn't look like a button. But Dominic had your back.
Yeah, I know you did. Thank you.
And so did Bob.
Yeah. You just had to like, this one. That's when you just don't vote, you know?
Let's see. The newish 2 camera productions of your reviews are cool. The SH55 video is super. I bought one after the video. That's awesome.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. It took me a while to figure out. I wanted to incorporate a second camera into my videos.
Speaking of ideas,
and
guess whose idea was the intro? Okay, not the whole thing.
No, so I wanted to do because these mics. So what Alan's talking about is the video on my channel. The most recent one is about these 2 microphones, and even though they're brand new microphones, they're the classic like retro style. And I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to do like a black and white intro. That was what I thought. And then in my mind I was like, oh, but if it's black and white, should it be widescreen or should it be like 4:3 square like old black and white TV was? That was where I was at.
We're definitely being influenced by WandaVision.
100%.
Yeah, so that's where that's coming from.
But you had the idea that made it.
Well, yeah, because I was like, if we're going to go with WandaVision, which was black and white with a square aspect ratio, then I was like, well, when it turns to color, it should expand to fit the full frame.
Which was perfect because also these 2 microphones, they're different colors.
Yeah, and then you could tell.
In black and white, they look the same. So it was a really cool thing to like, it looked like 2 of the same microphone. And then when it went to like super bright color widescreen, you actually saw that they're different the whole time, which I thought was super cool. It's like one of my favorite video intros.
I usually pick one of them, and next time I'll pick the other one. Someone once told me that most people will usually only spend a couple minutes on my site and that I have to make things as easy as possible to find. Exactly. User interfaces.
I know. It's the billboard effect. You got 3 seconds. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. What? Okay. Wow, the feathers are flying. You guys on fire now. Elbow bub.
There it is.
Let's see. Shoot, I started editing and my mind drifted away from the podcast. I still have a tab open about Lassie, which is the last thing I could remember.
I like that you opened a tab for it. I've also not heard of it, so.
That's one subtle button.
I mean, now it's bright pink or magenta, so it's pretty...
Nobody leave a 5-star meal on a garbage can lid.
Raphael, we recorded your C-Log test stuff right before this, so I'll put that and get that to you.
It didn't look like a button, but it fit with the rest of your site and vibe, and I would have clicked it if you told me.
But the problem is I wouldn't be there to tell everyone to click it, so yeah.
Exactly. Please don't
I mean, this is like the extent of our arguing, so yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I get a feeling Tom knows it's not an ideal design, but he wants to do it differently because it makes him feel good because he made it.
That's the fine line
it's
there.
unique for him.
It's like, yeah.
I know, but you can always do iterations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I mean, it's not like that's set in stone. So
Yeah.
Maybe the button can stay the same but blue.
Well, no, I like the way it looks
he
now.
picked the pink. That was his.
Yeah, because that's always been like my 3 colors is like blue, white, and pink.
I make UI for a living, so yeah, I have to agree. A button has to look like a sexy button. Yeah, you have to
button.
be like, oh, I need to click that. You know, like not, oh, is that a button? Mm-mm. It's gonna be
Well,
like,
also, I mean, in terms of the purpose right now, it's not like, oh my God, did you go to Tom's website? Like that content-rich oasis on the internet. It's more like when I need to tell people about the course, I need an easy place to direct them. If they go to the homepage, it needs to be something very clear where they're like, oh, that's the thing he was talking about. I'll click that.
So our homework for the weekend is to make the registration page for people to sign up for the webinar, which actually in ConvertKit, if people are already on your mailing list, they don't have to go to a registration, put in their email, and sign up again. You can make it so if they're already on your mailing list, they just have to click a button and it'll go straight to.
So even more incentive to click that button. That big pink button on HiMyNameIsTom.com that says join the list or whatever, sign up. Forget what it says.
Like, I hope you know you're doing really well for like your first time. Like your mailing list, what is it? Like how many people do you have?
111.
That's insane.
Thank you.
I mean, seriously, that's like really good.
I don't have frame of reference, but it feels good. And most of that came...
Considering this is all organic, you haven't done Facebook ads, you haven't paid for anything. Like,
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's great because I feel then it makes me more comfortable talking to those people because it's like they really kind of had to go like out of their way to
Just so you know, though,
do this.
For the next week, per our schedule...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have it right here.
Is we have to tell people that you're
homework.
doing a webinar. And that includes telling people on social media. You don't have to do a YouTube video.
No, I won't. Yeah.
But people need to know that it's happening.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that.
Cool.
Yeah, especially, I mean, when it comes to like Instagram and stuff, not that I want to be silly, but I have no strategy other than like I will post the thing that I'm thinking about right now. So that's when you're like reels. I'm like, I'll do a reel right now. I don't even know what it is. Whatever. But
then do one.
But that's where then you're like, oh, you want to talk about this on YouTube? And I'm like, but absolutely put it in video descriptions and stuff. So
yeah,
the button has been clicked.
It's more like Tom wants to whisper about the course, hence the initial button was subtle.
Yeah,
subtle.
But that's like builds. Did you hear about the button? I heard that if you click the button,
you should like put Easter eggs in places like Taylor Swift does.
Like what? Like secret buttons?
Yeah. Like if you click this button, you get it for free or something.
Oh wow! You're gonna go through every page of that website.
Anyway, so.
Is it time to clear the table?
I think so.
Is it? Oh yeah, we're over an hour. Wow.
Luis is using Buy Me a Coffee.
Yeah, I've seen lots of people do that, and Luis, you've been doing such a good job at building a community and a support network and stuff lately.
Walldigital.com. You've probably seen his videos. The list of what he does, what customer gets, is very simple and appealing.
Simple and appealing is great.
On a totally different note, that doesn't have to be answered now, but the M1 Mac Mini is the new main machine.
Yes. Heather has one now too.
Yeah.
And I love my...
night and day difference.
Here's my 16-inch MacBook Pro over here, which is still the current gen MacBook, but like... So it works great. If anyone needs to buy a MacBook, This one is
You can
available.
get Tom's, okay?
You can get mine.
Yes, the one that,
these
like...
are $2,800 brand new. I'll let it go for $2,200.
That's what it is, Raphael.
It is, yes.
This is what it is.
Yes.
This is what it is.
Absolutely.
Do you guys know about the Aquabats? Okay. Who is it, Patrick? I think the ska cast is happening. Because the Aquabats were like so anti-sellout.
They were trying to get TV shows with the freaking like Disney Channel and stuff. It was just that people like everything was against them. But it just kind of came down to like, so for example, the Aquabats,
here it is.
They had deals with like ABC Family, Fox Family, Disney, everything. And every time they got a new deal with something, like the network would go out of business, or it would shift, or the management would change and they would get dropped, or this would happen, or they got dropped from Golden Voice Records because they, in the late 90s, started this insane idea for a music festival called Coachella and ran out of money and then had to drop a bunch of bands. And so their strategy was then like, if every organization is failing us, we will do things our way, and we have to build our own thing and support it. And that spoke to me a lot. And then there goes to the whole, like, if you want to go into like, you know, punk rock music and you know, like indie punk shows and stuff, obviously like selling out's a bad thing.
The Ska-cast.
But anyway, yes, that is a thing that I still like. I still reckon with. Which they did. So this is the thing here. They started their own record labels. They charged for their own shows. They charged for their own merchandise. And I guess that was the difference, is it went to them. It didn't go to like
a label.
I don't know, Interscope Records or whatever.
Why not the M1 MBP?
Well, so the Mac Mini, because my plan, it was so cheap. It's so freaking cheap. It's as much as the AirPods Max. And I was like, oh, that's easy. I was just going to use it for streaming and then use my MacBook for everything else. But this just turned out to be so good that it just became a main computer. So my plan is to sell this MacBook, and then I do need a laptop. But once you have a silent computer, this one's really powerful, but it does sound like a rocket. And so my plan, I really, really, really want the M1 MacBook Pro, but I want to sell that, save the money, and then get the rumored 14-inch one whenever that comes out, because it's supposed to have more ports and potentially a built-in SD card slot, which would be amazing.
Luis has not heard of the Aquabats.
Oh, and you have a small child, so yes, you should check them out. Yeah, if we ever need to just throw on an extra hour of our thing, we can just talk about ska and punk music.
And for the record, you guys, my equivalent of being able to talk for an extra 2 hours is video games.
Oh, yeah.
So if we ever want to do the video game cast, I am here for it.
There was a video. Well, I guess that was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater had like Goldfinger on the soundtrack. I was going to say, if there's a video game with a ska soundtrack, it'd be the Endless Podcast.
Just on for 12 hours.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, this was fun. Thank you guys for sharing your insights with us. Thanks for supporting me.
Yeah. So
it's always great.
Let's see. We're going to do a couple staple on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then after that, it'll be Tom's
That'll
webinar.
be the last one before the webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you excited about it?
The webinar? I am excited about it. I'm not excited about making like the slide deck, but I am actually very excited about it.
There you go.
It'll be a different way. It'll be like a real hybrid of my job and my YouTube channel, like coming together. Ouch. As one thing.
All right.
We got to check in with the dog cam. Oh, it's just Ben's foot. And my feet. Look at my great feet. Oh, wait. Oh, he's sitting down.
Hi, Benno.
And Finley's over there. All right. We don't need to see my toes. My weirdly pink feet. All right. I hope you guys have a great week. Let's see here. What song? Is this song? Yes. There we go. It's time to clear the table.
Yes. And have a good week, everybody. You guys
Stay
are all
safe,
killing
have
it.
fun. Yeah.
See you guys on Thursday.
Amazing.